Looking for some inspiration? You've come to the right show. Step into your divine feminine energy with me as I spill the tea on leadership and life. Hi, I'm Tracy M., your host here on Brave Girls, and I've got your back, and no mean girls are allowed. I've been called the fairy godmother of storytelling, and my gift is to unearth people's stories, share them, and make the world a better place for all of us. So sit back, relax, and listen in as we send some more positive vibes out into the universe. Enjoy the show. Hello, welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. Today, I have Dionne Joyner-Weems, who is an extraordinary global brand builder, dynamic storyteller, and passionate changemaker right here in the city of Baltimore, although she is global, and she has a ton of energy, and her gift is to turn challenges into solutions, moments into movements, and she works across all industries. She's the Chief Energy Officer of Audacity Group, LLC, which is her own brand and marketing agency where she uses storytelling for social impact. She's also the founder of the #MyBeMore project, which is a social enterprise and movement amplifying authentic Baltimore voices to inspire change and connection. She's a proud Baltimore native, and she recently published a new book, That Part, What Some Know But Won't Tell You About Motherhood, which is a real and raw, real and reflective journey about her experience as a wife and mother of 3 beautiful, beautiful sons, soon to be men. And so I'm just so excited that you are on the show. I finally got to meet you. I've been following you on Instagram for as long as I can remember.
Oh,
I'm like one of those fangirls. I'm like, I've been watching you. I've been watching what you've been doing. I've been watching how you have helped to shift the narrative around the story about Baltimore. We are not just The Wire. We are not, that is not Baltimore. It is a section of Baltimore, I'm sure, somewhere in some neighborhood, but that is not
a chapter story.
it's a chapter in the story, right? And so, welcome to the show. And I'm just thrilled that you've agreed to be here and be featured as a brave girl today.
Tracy, let me tell you something. You having me on here has definitely been a boost and a confirmation to me. I'm a firm believer that there are no coincidences in life, only God's confirmations. And here I am. So thank you for this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't do this show without having somebody that is so passionate about our city and our state and the world and telling all of those really good stories. And, you know, I love that you have done all the work that you do, and I see you out there everywhere, involved in the community, really shaping the narrative and shaping sort of what people need to know about our community and about our city, and the greatness in the city and the creative energy that is in this city and the beauty, and all the really like untold stories about what it's like coming from Baltimore and putting your work out into the world. So I know I've read somewhere you're from Sandtown, Winchester. And so tell me a little bit about like where your origin story. I'm always fascinated by that.
That's so funny. And I love the term origin story because there's a beginning to all of it, right? I tell people that I've been marketing the city of Baltimore since I was 8 years old. And I'm not being like facetious. Like I did not recognize that I lived within a redlined community that was purposely set to keep me, my family, friends, and others from experiencing things that would, allow us to grow. I did not know that because it was such a strong sense of community within those red lines. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in the 80s. I was a baby of the 80s, found myself in the 90s. So just before, that highway to nowhere, there were still stories being told to me by my grandfather about the African-American richness within Sandtown, Winchester, and the doctors, the lawyers, the Thurgood Marshalls, the Billie Holidays, the Harriet Tubman, the stories of Baltimore, that for me, when the helicopters were flying through my neighborhood and they would wave to us, I looked at that as like a form of like community engagement. I didn't know that if a police helicopter is flying through your neighborhood, that means that the suspect is dangerously close. I didn't know that, right? Because still there was Miss, Janice, who lived up the street, who was correcting children and, telling them it's time for you to go in the house. To be honest, the dealers on the corner were still watching out for the ones they saw that were going to school and were like, hey, Dionne, you about to miss that bus, too much talking. There was a sense of responsibility. So when I had to, apply to schools or programs, my mother would be like, Dionne, don't put down our address, because once you put down your address, now you're not eligible for the funding. You're not eligible for the camp. You're not eligible for, this advanced academic program. So to know that, I'm like, are you kidding me? So here it is, a system is being put into place to make you feel a sense of shame about a home that I love.
Right.
So, at 8, at 10, 12, I couldn't, my mother's like, Dale, if you gonna stop telling people where you are from. But I was like, no, it's ever since I was told not to, that's when the fire was burned within me that, no, this is my charge to do it. I am going to be a storyteller for my home, the place.
Yes. Right.
And that became,
That's sort of the beginning and the genesis. Yeah.
That was it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm imagining there was so much love,
It's,
within your, yeah.
I'm going to let you know something. It's interesting to me. There's a museum, which you're familiar with, I'm sure, in Baltimore, the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum. It is the only national museum dedicated to the wax figures of African American stories, right? To know that when I was born in the 80s, it was a storefront. Dr. Martin and her husband, Elmer Martin, were going around with these wax figures in their car from corners to corners, from schools to schools. And my grandfather appreciated their vision. So here it is. He's telling me these stories, right? So I'm 4 years old, and I go to their grand opening when they find themselves over in East North Avenue. Fast forward 20 something years later, and I'm the vice president of marketing for the city of Baltimore. And now I get to talk about institutions that I literally got to see grow. Right?
And be built. Wow.
It's personal for me.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Well, and you have the personality of uh um like a cheerleader, and taking that pride and like really internalizing that pride.
I stopped. I would say it was with the birth of my children. So as you alluded to in the bio, I had 3 children in 2 years against the backdrop of Black Lives Matter. So between 2010 and 2015, as we're all seeing the visuals of Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and the Charleston Nine, and I'm marketing the city of Baltimore. So Freddie Gray and the uprising. I am literally nursing 2 boys at one time as I'm watching the world take life, as I'm bringing forth life. And so when you go back to that thing of it being personal, I stopped apologizing for being passionate when I brought children into this world and recognized that the story that I tell them is what's going to be continued. All we're doing is repeating the stories that
Yes.
were told from generation to generation, but without context sometimes, like what your mother went through, what your mother's advice that she gave to you, Tracy, all great and grand, but you're also losing the context of the time that she came out of.
Yes.
You're not factoring. She had a mother. She was once a child. What about her? And so when you start pulling those layers back, you start to recognize the power of a story and how fully are you telling it. So I'm passionate about giving context to the story. Yes, Baltimore, The Wire. let's just change the frame. The acting, the caliber of artistic integrity in the city of both the films that have been made here in Maryland, the actors that have not knocking New York, because I'm all about, we can all shine.
Right.
But if you can make it in Baltimore, you can make it anywhere.
I would agree.
We
I
are
would agree.
pushing that.
We are. We really are. And a lot of people don't see us that way, but if you're in the ecosystem, the talent is off the chart. Off the chart. Writers, musicians, actors. I mean, just the creative spirit and energy and the grit. Like it's the grit that people will just persist.
Because just like your audience knows, I look at Baltimore as she's my sister. I've been my sister's keeper
Mhm.
ever since I recognized that she deserved to be kept. When I recognized that there are powers that be that don't want you to know the story. Like we have the way that you just described Baltimore, when you think about the young people that live here who do not have that same connection and who can't wait to leave here. It's like, you know what? I am just trying to get through school so I can get up out of this city. And we're losing we're losing our because
Right.
they're not hearing the story, right? They're hearing what's being dictated to them versus them being able to experience their city firsthand. So I take that as, all right, I'll take that responsibility with the life that I have. And I don't hide the fact, as we started before the call, I appreciate you following and supporting me for so long. I've been doing this for over 20 years, right? I lost my father 8 months ago, and this was an unexpected loss. And I am so different than who I used to be 8 months ago. But because of the father that I had, he was a nurse within Baltimore Central Booking. So as far as our incarcerated youth would come through, they would meet my father. And my father would be maybe one of the first strong male figures that they received in a type of care that he would provide them. Once they left there, he planted seeds. So now, if people thought I was on fire before, legacy is the name of the game. This whole part here is fleeting. We're all no one's going to make it out of this part alive. So we're supposed to be doing the good work so that we can earn. I'm thinking about the afterlife. I want to be somewhere comfortable, not warm. I want to be somewhere comfortable, not warm.
Well, let me just say, condolences. The bond with your father is always so special. I lost my dad 10 years ago. The grief, it shifts and it changes, but it definitely makes you think different about your legacy, about their legacy. My father he started in Baltimore City Schools. Before his very last job in Baltimore City Schools, he was assistant principal of Western High School. So shout out to the Doves. Shout out to Doves. There you go. You're a Dove. Of course. Of course you're a Dove. And yeah, so he that was one of his favorite jobs ever. And he on his tombstone, we wrote, I mean, this man taught thousands and thousands and thousands like the number of lives my father impacted as a teacher for, I mean, 60 years. Like the man was still substitute teaching when he was 84.
Wow.
He loved instructing, teaching. Teaching was his thing. That was his gift. I mean, he taught people at Patterson, who then he taught them at Herring Run. Then he taught their kids, and then he taught their kids. He taught 3 generations in some cases of people and families. So let your grief work its course, and it's here to teach you. And so my heart goes out to you. So I know it's just hard.
It also raises the fact of that's the beautiful, when people talk about that, the grit and grace of Baltimore, like what is that little sticky part? It is the fact that there is no one on this earth that has not been impacted by some type of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But in Baltimore, we don't hide it. We're not uppity. It's when people
Mm-hmm.
say authentic, it's the fact that not in I don't want to be sensitive to viewers' ears, but everybody's got their shit. Like to
Mm-hmm.
walk into anyone's life and
Yes.
think that you are better or above them in
Mm-hmm.
any way, we don't do that here. As a matter of fact, if you bring that type of attitude, you're gonna get shut up. That's where you get to feel Baltimore's like fire. We're not phony.
Mm-mm.
It's out of
Mm-mm.
our struggles. It is out of our pain that you see our beauty. It is the fact that there are so many people who come here and write white papers, or they're coming to do, deeper research into social impact and social innovation, because this is, I tell people, if you've ever seen, Black Panther, Wakanda, like this is
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda, like the vibranium, the purple sauce, the purple spirit, that's here.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to know, like, how did you come up with My Be More? I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It really is.
Let me so let defiance, right? So it's
Mhm.
interesting. Hashtag my be more was birthed, I believe, the same time with Audacity Group, right? But let's not look
Okay.
at the timeline.
Hmm.
So for because I created my company in 2018, but
Okay.
hashtag my be more was birthed in 2017. Okay, we had just come out of the loss of Freddie Gray. I was working at Visit Baltimore, and we had been working on a really big national campaign with
Hmm.
big artist names tied to it.
Hmm.
It was going to launch in April of 2015. We were going to have like New York Times, big spreads and TV commercials. And I mean, we had been working on this campaign for over 9 months. So that was my baby,
Right.
right? And when we reached that tipping point here, we had to pull that campaign because the focus really needed to be on Baltimore's healing and
Hmm.
not trying to promote to bring more people in.
Right.
Really needed to focus on the folks that were here on the ground.
Yeah.
And um
That was smart. That was smart.
and it's one of those things where when you're in a capitalistic society, you're thinking about the money behind it, but it's really, if we're talking about destination marketing,
Yeah.
I come out of the world of tourism, it's about
Right.
people. So
Hmm.
it's really tone deaf if you're out here talking about all of the roses and petals and balloons. It's like,
Yeah.
no, people are in pain, not just here, but in major urban cities across the United States of America. So
Yes.
Baltimore really leaned in, and by time it was time for our next, summer campaign. That previous one had expired, and we couldn't, use it anymore. Celebrities had already moved, and I'm sitting here with a summer on the horizon. With Visit Baltimore, is our hotels, our attractions, like they're
Right. Conventions, all of
our
it.
conventions.
Yes.
It's like, oh my, what are we going to say? And I decided we're going to say what the people are saying. So
Hmm.
in 2017, the height of social media had really boomed, where people were using the power of their phone to tell their story.
Yes.
You pulled up hashtag my be more. There were about 500 posts that were reflective of what Baltimore looked like during the uprising. The fact that we had gang leaders walking hand in hand with pastors, walking hand in hand with community organizers, trying to adhere to the curfew, people hugging people, like attractions started to bring their exhibits from the Walters to the BMA. They were bringing them outside. So people
Hmm.
were on the streets now looking at artwork that were once inside of these cold, buildings.
Buildings.
Baltimore really did start to show this is my city. So I was like, okay, well, here's the deal. Y'all have already shown what, and every time you see the post, it would be hashtag my be more. Then I'm like,
Hmm.
that's what it is. You know what, guys? We are not going to sit here and beg
Right.
the media for a whole summer and fall to please see us, please tell our stories when we have the power to do it ourselves. And guess what, y'all? Y'all have already been doing it. So if y'all can continue using hashtag my be more, then that's going to be the one place, at least one place we can point when the national news starts to put the CVS on fire 24/7, that this is Baltimore. We get to say, nope, this is my Be More. And now we can have the voices. And I tell people, I've never run for political office in my life, nor will I ever. But that is the closest I've ever come in talking to, Kevin Plank at Under Armour. Can you use the hashtag My Be More within your campaign? Churches, can you use it here? Schools, Baltimore City schools, can you use? Because this is how throughout every sector takes ownership and highlighting the positive part of Baltimore, Maryland. Within that sector, we get to then own the narrative. And that started in 2017. It's now 2025. It's had over nearly 500,000 uses, and it's become a symbol. It's, when people see the sign, or they see the heart, they know that it's a sign of no longer begging people to tell my story. I'm taking ownership for it fully. Good, the bad, because authentically, because here's the thing, why hide?
Right.
That Baltimore is the Chicagos of the world. I look at Chicago, New Orleans, like they're cousins. Like there's a similar grit and grace. There's a similar overcoming pain and trauma and our beauty, our resilience in cities that's reflected right here in Baltimore. So hashtag My Be More has been continuing to go strong, and I'm proud to be the visionary behind it, but it really is the people.
That's been crowdsourced. Yeah.
Because you can't own a hashtag. Like, I will say that I was excited to be able to get the trademark, the trade rights.
Yeah.
So and honestly, Tracy, was more of a thing of, for my children, you've seen me out in events, and it was dawned on me that, like, I'm out here, but do my children know why? Why is mommy doing this? What's the point? Why are we out here again on another Saturday on a parking lot, going table to table and talking to these people? Why? So that was important for me to understand, as we state, the layers, the chapters of this story.
Yeah, and it's going to continue, right? But I think also, even globally, when I tell people, because I work globally and I have for like the last 15 years, and when I tell them I'm from Baltimore, I want them to know that it's not like I don't live like people aren't shooting at me as I'm sitting on 83, right? Like that's like, no, that's not like, I want them to see the beauty that I see, and all of the, like, just the architecture and the spirit that we have with the Orioles and the Ravens. And like, if you're from here, like, those are your teams. It doesn't matter if they're up or down, like, they're your team.
Who you telling? And Baltimore is really, because my Ravens love my Ravens, but we're one of those people where even when we're down, we're not knocking. When a Baltimorean hears another Baltimorean talking shit about our team, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
But I do want to say, Tracy, you've raised a great point, and to be able to show that the narrative is changing, but there's also a power out there that wants to reinforce the negative. The thing is, people are starting to see from the talent that has come out of this city, from the Angel Reese's to the people I've talked to on my podcast every day, the Gazi Landu's winning Emmy Awards for being head makeup artist on Spike Lee's movies. The people can see. We've got what's my girl, Brittany Spencer, top country performing artist. We've got country artists making it big in Nashville, from Baltimore. You know what I mean? So it's I know that there's a power out there that doesn't want us to feel good about us, because that's a war tactic. The best
that's true.
Control is fear. I'm able to control you. I'm able to manipulate you. I'm able to farm you into whatever little space I want you to go through fear. But when you feel empowered, you start to feel like. So I try to tell people, keep that in mind, guys, that it's a tactic.
It is a war tactic. I never thought about that. So I'm going to pivot. I want to hear all about your book.
Oh my gosh.
Because writing a book is no joke. That's no joke.
You know, I've wanted to write a book. We were actually going over old film when
Mm-hmm.
my father passed. You start to pull the pictures and everything. He was 67 years old, so my father was.
Young. Yeah.
And as we're going through, there's a film of Dionne, 13 years old, Thanksgiving, reading one of my first stories that I had written. And as I'm watching 13-year-old Dionne, I'm like, are you been, girl? You have been. Um, but I'll say this: what's different about my book is that it literally, I tell folks that when I found myself in that dark space of bringing boys, bringing young Black boys into a world that was
Mm-hmm.
showing me what they thought of my gift, of my blessings, I was like, what am I going to do? I had hit my form of rock bottom. Like, how I'm looking at God, like, I can't, as a mother, how am I going to protect them? And it was three of them all crawling all around me. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And it was at that time when I started journaling, right? So I started writing in my diary, and all of the whispers, all of the things that you hide, all of the fears that you don't want people to know that you're dealing with, the insecurities, the shame. 20-year-old Dionne started to wake up during early motherhood for me. Why? Because now I recognize that I have these three children and I was once a child. And
Mm-hmm.
now the child in me is starting to talk to me about things that I had not addressed, that I now need to address if I expect to raise healthy, healed, young Black men. That means that mommy is going to have to heal. So I started writing over those 5 years, and that's when I found my voice. Like I don't hide the fact that the Holy Spirit moved through me and let me know that, Dionne, there is nothing that I give anyone that I'm not willing to bring you through. Okay, so at first I had to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And then to recognize that I put you here for a reason, and I gave you these children for a reason. So your power is, I'm a firm believer, for anyone that's out here like, woe is me, what am I supposed to do with my life? You're supposed to use the gifts that were given to you to make life better for those around you. You don't have to be Beyonce. You don't got to, you've got to be Taylor Swift. Just every day be an example. Just in your community, when you're standing in line at the grocery store, be kind. Just be an example. So at the end of those 5 years, I came out of that with my voice,
I
my
love that for you.
and for my children. And I literally just put a barcode on my diary. I put
Wow.
a barcode on my diary. And I remember my father and my uncle being like, Dionne, that's brave. And
That's what I was just saying. I was like, "Ooh." I mean, that is putting yourself out
and
there.
I'm talking about, things like because your body changes after pregnancy.
Yes. I love it.
My breasts, I'm like, because here in high school, I was straight up and down. So I wasn't the thickest girl in the world, but I was at Western High School. I was surrounded by these beautiful, just they just had it all. And I'm like, Mommy, what about me? And she's like, Dionne, don't worry, because come your 20-year reunion, those same girls, they're gonna be all spilling all over the place. I'm like, all right. She's like, just wait till children. Dionne, when you have children, you'll start to fill out. Tracy, I had three of them. Three children and ain't get nothing. Absolutely not. So, and as I'm writing about those things in the book, I'm writing about, for people who talk about plastic surgery, I mean, I'm just saying, can we put things back the way that they were? I'm not trying to get stuff enhanced. I'm just saying, before he came, my belly button had a form. Now it looks like a droopy eyelid. Like, that's not, you know. Um, but to go from there, but to also be able to talk firsthand about seeing this news coverage as you're raising your children while marketing the city. And I just had to get it out. And when I got it out, that's when you realize, as you know, with your podcast, there are more people dealing with what you are shaming yourself with in silence than you
Yes.
ever believe.
Yes.
Ever believe. And one of
Yes.
the open your mouth and you become vulnerable and open, they'll come. Your tribe will form.
Yes, they will.
They will come. But you have got to be brave enough, have faith enough to open your mouth.
I agree. And, Elizabeth Gilbert just wrote a new book, and Oprah said, "You're serving humanity more than you even know," because she talks about her addictions and she talks about her struggles with she has multiple addictions, and she gets raw and real in that book. And basically has spent the last 3 years working 12-step programs, like working them every day, and just to keep herself, healed. And she had a lot of trauma. And so you said something else, though, that I think is a true definition of a leader, which is, how can I serve others? And I think that, people like you and I, everything we do is in service to others.
Yeah.
It's not about us. We are the channel. We are the channel that things are flowing through, and we have allowed ourselves to clear our channel so that we can speak, we can tell stories, we can record podcasts, we can write books, all in service to others.
Can I tell? I just yesterday I moderated a event on menopause uncovered, right? So, and as a writer of the book, they had me there, and in that room, so many raw stories were being shared. And with me, as I stated, 20, I had my children, my early 30s, right? So 20-year-old Dionne came back to me and expressed some things that I had not come to grips with, while 30-year-old Dionne was just trying to find a way to hold things together. Then 40-year-old Dionne, PMDD, it's premenstrual dysphoric disorder.
Right.
It makes PMS look like a punk ass bitch. It's like,
Really?
if you think, to know, and to know that I went into this during quarantine. So to be diagnosed with this when all of the world is shutting down, and then trying to find, this language, it is being able to talk to a young lady. She was 38 years old, and I'm just sharing my personal story with her, as she believes that her life is over because she's developed fibroids where she believes that she will not be able to have children. And I'm just giving her from my own lived experience that first, doctors, you listen to them, and you do, but you also do your own research, and also have a belief that your God is bigger than any doctor or diagnosis. So you got to be grounded in faith. And her mother, the 30-year-old's mother, thanked me for literally just being honest, right? But I don't go anywhere without saying, Heavenly Father, I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel. Whatever it is that's supposed to work through.
I do the same.
That's my, I don't go to any event. If anyone, and the thing is, people see me at events a lot, but don't understand, I don't go anywhere unless the spirit within me moves, because it lets me know that I'm either going to meet someone that I need to meet in exchange, or they need to get something from me.
Yes.
That's the currency. Like, this is not, and I can look at you, Tracy, in the way that we're speaking right now, being rich and famous, that is not the goal here. It is trying to make an impact in someone's life. Like, you were here specifically to do that for that person. Did you? So I don't want to, when my time is over, all I want to hear is job well done. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the work now.
Well, and that's how you have a legacy, right? And, sometimes you touch people and you don't even know you're touching them,
Well, Tracy, you've touched me. Like, you don't understand. As for anyone, when you have just put your head down and you're doing the work, so you're not one of the, because I'm constantly telling my boys since the day they were small, guys, I need you to put your blinders on. I need you to put your blinders on, because if you are so focused on what everybody else is doing over here, then that means you're not moving properly. You're not moving effectively.
Right.
You're not moving at your speed. You're moving at the speed of what you see. Put your blinders on.
Right.
So me, my blinders are on, and there are times that I look up and I'm just like, am I doing anything, Lord? Like, am I like so to hear you say that, hey, I've been following you, that blows my mind. Because for Dionne, I just feel in a tunnel and I'm just
Mhm.
leaning forward until it's my time.
No, I think people are always watching, especially people like you and I who have a lot of light. Like we emit a lot of light out into the world, um, and that attracts people that you don't even know. And I've had people tell me, people just like I told you, like, hey, I'm so finally glad I got to meet you. I've been following all your stuff and you're here and you're there and I'm loving what you're doing, in the world. Not just in the city, but just in the world, because I think the world needs more light workers like us. And I think so keep your head. I do think you have to keep your head down, because when you start doing all this, then you compare and despair.
Oh, say that again.
Compare and despair, baby. It's the thief of joy.
It's a thief of joy.
It is the thief of joy. And, God has given you these gifts to be a storyteller and a writer, and to know how to use words, and to how to have a way to be with people, right? Like you have that third eye, that sense.
Tracy, I need to give you, because it's coming over me now. I'm still blown away by the Western high school. Right?
Yeah, that's
But I'm also recognizing as I get older, um, when we talk about those origin stories or those point of connections in our lives, Western high school, me attending a all-female high school in the early 90s, where it during my period of time there, it was iron sharpening iron. Okay. I'm surrounded by, here it is. I came out of middle school and elementary school and gifted programs. Dionne was a nerd. I love school. I truly, I was in dramatic reading contests and winning them all over the place. So by the time I got to Western, people were like, Dionne, you were very serious. Like I came in, but then I'm now surrounded by more people like me, and to then become like class president and be voted best speaker. But you're amongst your peers. Like I recognize as I'm speaking to you now, damn, Dionne, 4 years of that type of training, 4 years of that type of iron rubbing up against iron. Yeah, when I graduated from Western, man, we receive light, therefore we give forth light. That was our mantra, like that was our
Mhm.
creed. So by the time I graduated and went to Morgan State, it was, I'm just recognizing now I need to play my story of Western high school needs
You
to
do.
be more
It
there. That
does.
was significant.
It,
That was,
yeah, don't underestimate the fact that you went to an all girls school in high school in the city of Baltimore, and how blessed you were that you had that opportunity, but you took advantage of it. And then you went to the HBCU of Morgan State, and continued on that journey of, sort of excellence.
yeah,
Right. So, I mean, that's all part of your story of, why you are who you are and where you are. And the leadership that you're providing to people that you may not even know you're providing it to, as sort of a community, a female community leader who is not only raising your boys, but even just in the greater Central Maryland area, and sharing those talents and gifts of marketing and communications and storytelling and branding, and you know
you
yeah.
that's the dope part. And I have to give so Governor Moore. Um so before he was Governor Moore, I remember Wes Moore just as the author of his book. I
Mhm.
remember very early on cornering him once. I'm like, why don't you run for mayor? Like I'm saying years ago. And he actually took part in a campaign that we were working on with Visit Baltimore. He was actually one of those, those faces that were just talking
Mhm.
about, Baltimore's story. But fast forward for him to become governor, and I was appointed to the Maryland Marketing Partnership Board.
I saw that. Yeah. Hmm.
And for me, the significance of that is that Dionne came in hot. So Dionne came with an attitude because for me, I felt that Baltimore had long been viewed as like the stepchild of Maryland, like this or viewed as such a disconnect from the family. No, this is Baltimore is your major city hub. What are you talking about? This is the flavor. This is the grit. This is the grace. And I was annoyed. And when he became governor, I'm like, hey, for him to be like, hey, Dionne, I want you to be at this table where we're telling Maryland's story, and I want you to bring all that you have with you. I'm like, damn, okay, talk about putting, being intentional about putting our full Maryland story.
Yes.
I do feel like Maryland, especially during this point of time, stands out even more of a light, just an authentic place where you can be.
Yes. Well, and I think back to when I was growing up, there was, as long as I was ever been, and I grew up here. My grandparents lived in Waverly. My parents lived in Hamilton. There was corruption in the police force. There was corruption in the city hall. There was, corruption in the Catholic Church. Like this has been going on since I remember as a kid. And so like we weren't helping ourselves. Depending on who was the governor and where their tie was to city hall and the police department, and how many police commissioners did we go through, and and so like there's things like that they don't help your narrative, but well, my finale question is, what's the bravest thing that you've ever done, and how does it inform you today, and what you're doing in the world today?
The bravest thing that I have ever done is to be honest about what I see and feel. That didn't come easily. It came, I know motherhood made me braver because you feel different when you're speaking on behalf of others.
I can see that.
The different type of, you become a lion. So it's an African proverb that I carry with me. Until the lion learns to speak, every story will always glorify the hunter.
Oh, I love that.
I've made myself the voice of the lions.
I love that.
The bravest thing for me is to be able to speak, to roar, to translate what's viewed by others as this scary gnashing of teeth, but to be able to articulate what's being said.
I love that.
And the hunter actually came into the tribe and stripped this lion's family, and he saw his mother's fur being taken. Yeah, you'd be mad. Okay, that hunter did not have a permit to be coming in here, but yet the lion is looked at as the one that's wrong. So the bravest thing that Dionne has ever done is to believe that her voice and what she sees and feels matters enough to say it out loud.
It's a huge mindset shift. But you know what? I'm glad it's finally happened, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't go to your grave and not realize that. So that is going to carry you forward as you move forward in the world, because the lion needs someone to speak on their behalf.
Yes.
I love that for you. All right, girl. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your book. I'm going to put all your socials in the and your bio and everything in the show notes. So
it's very easy. I tell folks, my name is Dionne Joyner-Weems. It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say it all together. So that means that you'll find me on my website, DionneJoynerWeems.com. You'll find me on Instagram, Dionne_Joyner_Weems on Instagram, Facebook. So I'm not hard to find.
well, thank you so much. I feel so blessed to finally have met you and had this conversation with you. I'm going to take you out for a coffee, and we're going to talk for hours. I can tell already.
So, madam, I will see you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. I hope you found a gem or two that will motivate you to change your mindset, pursue your dreams, and fulfill your soul's purpose. I believe that we can go farther and faster when we connect in the spirit of positivity and understand how we individually can serve humanity. The world needs more love, so keep shining, ladies. I can be found on my corner of the interwebs at tracym.com, and I'd love to connect on social. Just Google me and my SEO will tell you more about what I'm up to as I step into my purpose as a storyteller. I love you, brave girls. Now, it's time for you to step up your game and become the best possible version of you. I believe in you, and you've got this.